Whether intentional or not, evolution scientists have committed the fallacy of ambiguity by using a single word that has multiple meanings and then switching between the different definitions without clarification. Let me show you what I mean. The word evolution itself has three separate definitions, or at least three distinct and very different connotations that are used by evolutionists. One, very simply, evolution simply means change. A baby evolves as it grows. First become a toddler, then a child, an adolescent, and then an adult, growing old as a senior citizen, and then eventually dying. This definition of evolution can be used anywhere something changes, and thus, because it is so broad, does very little to actually help prove or disprove the case of evolution as far as the scientific theory goes. This denotation is not used very often within evolutionary discussions. The next two definitions are where things get dicey. The second definition of evolution can be best described as genetics. I look different than you because of our genetic makeup. There are many subspecies of dogs, and yet they are all the same species. They are dogs. They look so drastically different because of the genetic differences. If you breed two different subspecies of dogs together, you get a whole new brand of dog due to the genetic evolution. Change in the DNA. The vast majority of scientific evidence for evolution is of the genetic nature. Intelligent designers and creationists typically refer to this definition as microevolution, since it is change on the microscopic level, i.e., the DNA. The final definition is where the issue arises. No one doubts the veracity and accuracy of genetics. That is very true. One who doubts genetics would be, as Darwin starkly suggested, ignorant, stupid, or insane. However, the third definition, and the definition that has created the controversy, is what intelligent designers and creationists call macroevolution. Macroevolution is one species changing in a completely different family, order, class, or even phylum of an animal. This is the idea that man came from apes, whales came from elephants, birds came from lizards, and so on. And in fact, that all life evolved from a single-celled organism within the primordial sea. Here's where the ambiguity comes in. The cunning evolutionists used genetics, or macroevolution, as evidence proof that evolution, or macroevolution, is unquestionably true. They assume and leave the assumption unspoken that macroevolution proves and leads to macroevolution. The idea they have is that so many small changes over time led to the big changes. However, the evidence of this, as we shall soon see, is highly questionable at best, non-existent at the worst. Let me give a concrete example. A hallmark of evolution is Darwin's finches. At different locations of the Galapagos Islands, Darwin found some finches with long beaks and some finches with short beaks. He found that in areas where the food was plentiful, the beaks were generally short, while in areas where the food was more scarce, longer beaks predominated. And if one area was scarce but then became abundant with food, the short-beaked finches would soon predominate the area over the longer beaks. This is a clear example of genetics. The finches change beak size, but they never cease to be finches. However, it is touted as one of the major evidences for evolution, i.e., man came from apes. Again, let me say that no one doubts genetics. It is the leap of faith that is taken from genetics to macroevolution that is